Well, I'm from the state originally, so yeah, I've experienced racism from all kinds of folks, though. Because when we're from San Francisco, it's more like inner city, it's urban, so you experience it from all ends, and sometimes the kind of racism you experience amongst other people of color, some of it was just, hey, that's just how we talk to each other, It's like in Hawaii, they do it a lot, actually. They make fun of each other's race, and it seemed like it was a normal thing. Like when I was in high school, it was like, oh, the Mexicans make fun of everybody was making fun of each other. Latinos are making fun of themselves. Then they're making fun of like Filipinos and blacks, and the blacks were making fun of everybody, and the Filipinos were making fun of everybody. You know what I mean? It's like it was different. But the moment that like a white guy said something, it's like, wait a minute. Because in my high school back then, the minority were the white kids. This was in the 90s, and but did I experience discrimination from white folks? Yeah, I've experienced it. I mean, like when we were young in the 90s and stuff, even just like when we go up to areas like Reno or something like that, or like Tahoe, the minute that you walk into the store, like all the security is like just following you everywhere. You know what I mean? All you got to be is brown. and or you just look like you're not from there. And I remember in the Bay Area, it like everybody's a little bit, in terms of diversity, everybody's a little bit more mixed now, and all the younger folks are like all cool with that. But I'll tell you, man, like when we were growing up, if you just drove down to San Mateo, which wasn't that far, it was about maybe a 20-minute drive or something like that. Like it was like night and day between where we lived and on that side, And it's the same way in San Francisco. There are some neighborhoods that are just like, the uppity neighborhoods, and then you go over the next block, and it's just like totally. We got the projects and stuff. So it's kind of San Francisco is weird like that. And the Bay Area is funny like that because like
we're extremely diverse in this place. This place
Yeah.
is extremely diverse, and plus the population density within that diversity. I mean, it's one of the reasons why we're still in the early phase 2, where if we lived in Georgia, we'd be like running around like much more without all the coronavirus restriction. But over here, that population density has kept us pretty tight. But it's also given us a very unique experience within that diversity. It's one of the few places where you could see literally everyone from all sorts of places. But we're still divided in terms of tribes and in terms of like class structures that definitely exist for sure.
Yeah. It's definitely evident. I think in the Bay Area, it's more mixed now. But I remember growing up in the 90s and the 80s, things were more segregated. Not systematically by the government that I know of, but like people lived in certain neighborhoods that were not the same as our neighborhoods.
I mean, there was a redliner in neighborhoods that did exist, or that was kind of like the untold thing where the real estate agents or whoever wouldn't sell it or wouldn't recommend in those certain places. Because I remember when my parents moved into our neighborhood, it was still very Irish Italian. And so when those folks were moving, eventually there was a white flight in San Francisco that happened in the 70s and 80s, and brown people started moving in, all kinds of brown people. And then Chinese people moved in eventually in the 90s after Hong Kong was turned over to China. And so you'll see these things happening within San Francisco where certain ethnic groups will move in, and other groups will move out. And so a lot of those folks moved into the San Mateo County area. They moved to just somewhere down the peninsula, or they moved as far out as the East Bay, or even further. But that's just the makeup of things. Oh yeah. But when we moved into the neighborhood, it's not like people brought us like apple pie and stuff. I don't remember that. In fact, they brought us graffiti on the wall. I remember that. Swastikas and KKK and
there was
just
golly. Now you think about it, I'm remembering those moments now. Like it's all flashing back as you're talking about it. Because we had a racist neighbor We had a few racist neighbors actually across the street, white guy.
Oh,
and
man.
the funniest thing is this guy was racist, right? But then he ended up like, because he was just one of those guys. He was racist to be cool. Like for him, was a white guy who was being racist to be cool. He was just trying to fit into whatever was cool. And one of his friends was like a freaking Nazi, man. And so yeah, they would paint swastikas and stuff like that. Jeez, I must have forgot all this stuff. Well, you just brought it up and just went boom like that.
Dang.
Must be some weird coping mechanism or something. But like, that dude was racist, man. But then like I said, he was doing it to be cool because later on, when hip hop got big and hip hop and gangster rap got big, then he switched with the crowd. That was because that was the crowd back then. So he was like a white guy who joined like all the hip hop guys and stuff like that. And so he was all about
he had to sell his weed to somebody. He was selling his weed to all of those people, so he couldn't be freaking Nazi anymore. That's what he was doing. Drugs, I mean, he was selling drugs to all those people, and it's like, whatever. It's
but his one of his buddies was pretty big time racist because I remember them. Not only the graffiti, they would like. Oh man, dude! Like one of our cousins got into a big fight with them because like they're always calling us like we'd be walking across the street and they call us Ching Chong Chinaman and Yellow Man and always calling us Chinese and shit like this. All this Ching Chong China shit. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's golly, that's true. And I remember my cousin. My cousin is deaf, all right? But he was a big fan of Bruce Lee, so he trained, and he practiced. And one time they were harassing my other cousin because she was living with us at the time, and she was just learning how to drive. I haven't observed her drive. Sorry, Yolanda, if you're watching this, but I don't know how good of a driver she is now, but back then she was pretty bad, and she was not a great parker. She was not good at parallel parking, and she had a car that didn't have power steering, man. So it was just bad, dude. And like, but then this guy, Sean, my next door neighbors, maybe I shouldn't use his name, but my next door neighbor's racist friend was out there just like harassing her and just like talking about, see, Chinese don't know how to drive. And like, she's already stressed out because she can't freaking park the car. And my cousin got so pissed. He got out of the car, ripped off his shirt, and he was really buff back then, And this dude, man, he just got like, his like bravado just turned into like, he turned into a little mouse. And he kept on backing away, but my cousin just kept on approaching him, was trying to punch him in the face, but the guy just kept on running, And yeah, he was an asshole. I don't know what happened to him. 1 minute he was there in our neighborhood, then he just like disappeared. I think his brother, who used to go to our high school too, I think told me that if I can remember, I might be mixing up stories, but I think he went to prison for something. Yeah.
Wow.
Probably like being racist, doing some racist shit.
No, he was just a.
You remember that guy, right? The tall dude. He used to hang out with the.
Yeah. No, he was a antisocial, disagreeable kind of like, not a very good human being. Not a very good human being.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's
his brother
he gets what he deserves. So. I mean,
I don't know if you heard, but I was saying his brother. From what I remember, his brother told me he's in jail then, or went to jail.
So would you guys say,
we're doing something?
Mark, at least, would you say that's the most memorable, let's say, racist or discriminatory thing that's happened to you?
You know what? I think there's quite a few things. I just have to jog my memory. Once Jay said that, then everything was like, because I think for the most part, most of my life, I've been trying to, because I've been trying to like either forget, like just kind of like, I've been dealing with reconciliation, basically, a process of reconciliation in my life where it's not that I'm forgetting things, but maybe I am, but trying to let go of things. And so like when we talked about things in my past that make me really angry, it takes me a while to get the memories jogged in. And when you ask me if there been racist things, when I start thinking back, I'm like, God, like there's been tons. There's been a lot of little subtle things and a lot of things that were really obvious.